Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Okay, my name is Muhammad Akmal Hakim and I will start our group presentation with introduction of Musharakah Mutanaqisah. For the first, Musharakah Mutanaqisah is one of the legitimate methods in Islam for both investment and for financing by means of asset as a replacement for interest-based financing. And then this contract, it is a good option whether for the purpose of increasing wealth or for helping those who deal with banks to acquire what they need, especially house, equipment or factory. So Musyarakah Mutanaqisah contract is offered by several banks in Malaysia for customer to buy asset like house, equipment and others. Okay, next we move to the next slide about definition of Musyarakah Mutanaqisah. Okay, Musyarakah means partnership, while Mutanaqisah means diminish. So Musyarakah Mutanaqisah we can means diminishing partnership. Diminishing partnership is a contract or partnership between financier and customer to own an asset in which one of the partner give the right to the other partner to buy his equity share of the asset either by one lump sum payment or several payments based on agreed condition. Okay, next, this contract it is joint partnership contract between the financial institution and its client. Okay, the client begins to purchase the share of the financial institution until he owns the whole property. Okay, so the client need to buy the share of property from banks. Okay, and after complete buy the share, he will own his property. Okay, next, the financial institution need to list his portion of share to the client at the same time. Okay, and then the client need to promise that he will buy the share of the bank. So if client not pay the share of the bank, the contract will terminate. Okay, so this contract overall is a combination of partnership of a business buying and selling the share of the property and leasing. Okay, we move to the next slide about the process of implementing housing financing operation based on Musyarakah Mutanaqisah contract. Okay, this picture show us about the description of housing financing operation by Kuwait financing house Malaysian Berhad. Okay, for the first way, the customer will identify the house that he want to buy. After being satisfied with home specification, customer need to obtain a certificate sale and purchase agreement from the developer as evidence, that's mean document, to be submitted to the bank when applying financing. And the SPJB that must be in the name customers and Kuwait Malaysian Berhad. Okay, second way is the customer will found Kuwait Malaysian Berhad for apply for home financing in Musyarakah Mutanaqisah with submit document that is needed. Okay, third way is after discussing and get approval together, bank and customer will sign agreement document as sign agree to contract in Musyarakah Mutanaqisah through financing product Musharakah Housing Mutanaqisah I. Okay. And customer will begin pay installment according to a predetermined period like 13 years starting from date as stamped on in agreement. Okay. And fourth way is through the concept of Musyarakah Mutanaqisah, Kuwait Malaysian Berhad and customer alike share buying capital, desire house with a sharing ratio, agreed capital together like 19 per 10. Okay, 90% is for bank for financing, and 10% is deposit that customer need to pay for the bank. Okay, the ratio banks are usually larger than customer ratio. Okay, and next way is the customer will inhabit the house if the house completed property and make a rental payment according to the rental rate usually have been someone in installments monthly met customer. And then through monthly installment as well, the customer gradually buy bank owner equity in her house partnership, and after enough period and perfect installment payment that met by the customer, the process of moving a home will be perfected between Kuwait Malaysian Berhad and customer. So the home purchase financing will go perfectly, and customer will get first key for his first asset. That's mean house property. Okay, next, this is example of bank use Musyarakah Mutanaqisah contract. For the first bank is Kuwait Finance House Malaysia Berhad. Second bank is Citibank, and the third bank is RHB Islamic Bank Berhad. So all of these bank nowadays still offer this Musyarakah Mutanaqisah contract for house financing loan. And this contract still get demand from customer when they apply for house financing loan and contract.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Irsyad bin Arjonet. We go to the next slide about the issues in Musharakah Mutanaqisah products. First issue, the customer fails to settle the installment payment that has been imposed in the contract performance. It concerns the status of installments that should be paid during the payment holiday and the impact on the financing period where the customer fails directly in making the installment payment. Second issues related to Musyarakah Mutanaqisah in Kuwait Finance House Malaysia Berhad is related to the absence of selling rate for this Musyarakah Mutanaqisah financing product. In these issues, it will affect the customer to make payment regularly and fairly. This causes inconvenience to the customer to pay the installment payment as the payment amount will always fluctuate. Next issue in Musyarakah Mutanaqisah products, there is no capital guarantee between the two parties, namely the bank and the customer, where there is no market price on the equity and the sale price of the equity will vary according to the current market price. These make it difficult to set the selling price because every year the market price will always fluctuate and the divisions of capital between the bank and the customer will be misunderstood. Next, the house rental rate is based on the current market rental price, where the market rental price is based on the location position of the asset, not based on the market interest rate. This means that rental price can change and increase under certain circumstances It can result in failure for the customer to settle the rental payment when there is an increase in the rental price and the risk of the customer failing to settle the rental payment on time. Next, we look the issue of negotiation in Musharakah Mutanaqisah. Among others is the issue of failure to execute a contract without wa'ad. There is a contract with wa'ad and without wa'ad. This wa'ad contract exists in a financing agreement contract between the customer and the bank, where the customer promises to carry out the responsibility to pay the financing as well as the responsibility for the partnership they make. In the event of a default in payment, the customer will be responsible for the share of capital contribution in the partnership and pay the share of capital share that the bank has contributed to the customer. Next issues in Musharakah Mutanaqisah products is determination of the rental rate to be paid by the customer. In these issues, rental rates are usually determined based on the market value of the rental. Factors such as location and time may be important, although most likely the ever-increasing rate factor is a major factor. This can cause a burden on the customer to pay the rental installments changed due to increasing the amount of rental payments, while it will complicate the bank to find and also to keep tracks with the changing rates. Next issues in Musharakah Mutanaqisah products is on the cost charged to the customer when rescheduling the rental payment and takaful payment on the assets by one party when it is jointly owned, and the issues the bank charges a fee for rescheduling payments and payment of fines for non-fulfillment of the contract of agreement entered into earlier. And the last issues is on the payment of takaful guarantee on the house. This guarantee should be borne by both parties because the ownership of the property is joint ownership and it is a jointly liability. In this partnership, the bank is responsible for jointly bearing the expense of protection of their property and not only the burden on the customer alone. And next, we look at the impact to the customers, which is where the majority of customers are indifferent when choosing any type of financing offered by Islamic banks, which they consider okay as long as the financing is Islamic. For most of these customers, the issues they worry about are the rate of profit, repayment, duration, and whether the financing is approved or not. And then, non-Muslim customers can compare products offered by Islamic banks with those offered by conventional banks, where higher documentation costs can affect their choice. So we can see here from a sales perspective, customers do not have any basic of comparison. They will not know if there is an increase in documentation costs they have to pay, and the increase in documentation costs, as mentioned above, may not have a big impact because the challenge faced while promoting Musharakah Mutanaqisah products are the same as other Islamic home financing products. In conclusion, by using the concept of financing this Musharakah Mutanaqisah more further improve the quality of the concept in accordance with Sharia, then it will be further developed further application of the concept of Musharakah Mutanaqisah because it is an effective concept in housing financing. Therefore, if any change in the responsibilities of the parties, the bank or customer must refer to the original contract that has been made, and the change what is done is well founded and still benefit both parties. Therefore, when making change in the contract, the price must be explained and the beginning of the contract by obtaining the consent of both parties to avoid the occurrence of riba or gharar in contract change. In addition, this Musharakah Mutanaqisah can provide confidence and trust in customers in using a transparent and true Islamic banking system.